Everyone has a bedtime story. The ones we tell children are filled with magic and happy endings. They are a light against the dark. But there are other stories, older stories, stories that weren't meant to comfort, but to warn. They are the soil from which this nation grew, fertilized with fear, obsession, and the things that go bump in a very specific kind of night. Tonight, we don't seek comfort. We seek a different kind of truth. These are the darkest American tales to whisper before bed. Our first story doesn't come from Transylvania, Romania, but from Transylvania, America. In the 1690s, an ambitious English nobleman named John Wasson helped found a settlement in the wilds of North Carolina. He was a man of the Enlightenment, a surveyor, a writer. He believed he could tame the wilderness. But the wilderness had other plans. The settlers of this Transylvania were plagued by a strange and relentless fear. They whispered of a creature that stalked the deep woods, a thing that was neither man nor beast, but something ancient and hungry. They called it the Vampire of the Blue Ridge. It wasn't the elegant count of European lore. This was a raw, earthbound terror, a thing that would drain the life from livestock and, sometimes, from people, leaving the body pale and cold in the morning. The fear was so potent, it twisted their rituals. When a loved one died suspiciously, they wouldn't just bury them. They would perform the rite of the stake, not through the heart, but through the earth above the grave, a crude wooden spike driven down to pin the restless spirit, to prevent it from rising to feed. John Lawson documented these fears, but he dismissed them as superstition. He was a man of science. Years later, while exploring the interior with a Swiss colleague, he was captured by the Tuscarora tribe. The natives, perhaps seeing his arrogance as a threat, gave him a choice for his execution: a quick death by beheading or a slow, ritualistic one. He chose the slow death. They skinned him alive with oyster shells and slowly burned him at the stake. The man who denied the dark primal magic of the land was consumed by a fire lit in its very heart. The lesson? Some American soil is too old, too savage to be tamed by maps and reason. If the first story is about a land that consumes, the second is about a mind unraveling in a prison of its own making. After the death of her husband, William, and their infant daughter, Sarah, Winchester heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune was drowning in grief. A Boston medium told her a terrifying secret. Her family was cursed by the spirits of all those killed by the gun that won the West. The only way to appease them, to stay alive, was to build, to never, ever stop building. And so, for 38 years, from 1886 until her death, construction on the San Jose mansion never ceased. It became a labyrinth, a chaotic spiraling monument to fear. Staircases lead to blank ceilings. Doors open onto two-story drops. There are windows in floors and closets that are only an inch deep. The workers worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, following Sarah's frantic secret blueprints drawn each night in seances with the very ghosts she was trying to placate. She built ballrooms for spirits and installed features like the door to nowhere, which, it said, was for the ghosts to escape if a fire ever broke out. But the darkest tale isn't the architecture, it's the silence. Imagine the endless hammering, the sawing, the cacophony of construction. And at the center of it all, a tiny, deaf old woman in black, wandering the halls, listening not to the noise, but to the whispers only she could hear. She wasn't building a home. She was building a haunted, desperate shield, a ghost trap for her own soul. The lesson? Sometimes the most terrifying house isn't haunted by the dead, but by the living grief and guilt of the person inside. Our final story is perhaps the most chilling because it offers no reason, no curse, no grand design, only a singular, inexplicable malice. In the early 1900s, in the rural community of Gallatin, Tennessee, the Bell family was tormented by an entity that came to be known as the Bell Witch. But we're not here for the famous witch. We're here for her favorite herald, a man who was never truly there. He was seen by multiple witnesses, always at a distance, always at twilight. A tall, slender man in an immaculate but oddly dated black suit. He would be standing at the edge of a field or under a lone tree on the property, and he would always be smiling. Not a friendly smile, a wide, fixed porcelain doll smile that never touched his cold, dead eyes. He never spoke. He never approached. He just watched and smiled. The family dogs would whimper and hide when he appeared. The children would be too terrified to sleep. When John Bell, the patriarch, confronted the figure, the man simply tipped his hat, the grin never faltering, and faded back into the woods. His presence was a prelude, a signature. He was the calm before the storm of poltergeist activity that would later shake the house to its foundations. He was the promise of the horror to come. No one knew who he was, what he wanted, or why he smiled. He was simply a hole in the world, shaped like a man, filled with an amusement that was utterly alien and cruel. The lesson? The most profound terror isn't a monster you can understand, but a smile in the darkness that you cannot. These are the stories we whisper, not of vampires in castles, but of things that took root in the fresh-turned earth of a new world. They are tales of a land that remembers its blood price, of a grief so vast it could build a maze, and a smile in the shadows that offers no explanation. They are dark, yes, but they are ours. They are the hidden foundations under the bright, bustling cities. They are the chill in the wind that blows down from the mountains, a reminder that the American night still holds its old, deep secrets. So the next time you turn out the light and the house settles into silence, listen closely. What story is the darkness waiting to tell you?